What is going on, guys? So today we're going to be replacing the manual transmission fluid in this 99 M3. Now, replacing the manual transmission fluid is pretty straightforward and pretty simple, and it's very similar to changing the differential fluid. It's pretty much just a drain and fill. Now, a couple things to note before we start changing the transmission fluid is you're going to want to make sure that you know which fluid your transmission takes. Some ZF transmissions take actual manual transmission fluid or gear oil, and others take ATF. So for instance, this car and my drop top both take manual transmission fluid, gear oil, 7590. The ZF 5-speed in my sedan takes ATF. So you're going to want to climb under your car and confirm that it takes ATF or it takes gear oil. You need to pretty much figure out which one it takes, because if you put the wrong fluid in the wrong transmission, you're going to have a really bad time and your synchros are going to hate you for it. Alright, so now we are underneath. That is the transmission there. To give you guys a little bit of a rundown, if you'll look on the bell housing on the exhaust side, that sticker, that yellow sticker, is the sticker that you're after. Now, the yellow sticker that says MTF indicates that it does take manual transmission fluid. ATF cars, that sticker will be orange and it'll say ATF right on the top there. So just be sure that your transmission fluid is the fluid that you buy. The second thing is you need to have the car completely level. Just like checking the differential, what tells you that it's full is that fluid will start draining out of the fill hole in the transmission, and to be sure that it's properly filled, you need to have the car level. Do not just jack up the front of your car to change the transmission fluid. You need to jack up the entire thing. So I have 4 exact same jack stands on all 4 corners, raised to the same height to ensure that the chassis is level. Otherwise you'll get an incorrect reading. You might underfill the transmission or you might overfill it, and both of those situations and scenarios are going to cause different issues. Issues can arise and transmissions can have early problems because of that. Get the car perfectly level to make sure that it's filled correctly. Tools we will be using: a 3/8 driver and a 17mm socket. So the drain plug and the fill plug are both 17. Alternatively, you could use a box end wrench that is a 17mm. You might also need an extension on that. An extension as in a handle extension for it to be kind of more of a breaker bar. Some of these fill plugs and drain plugs can be extremely tight, especially if they haven't been serviced in a few years. Aside from that, you're going to need a set of 4 jack stands or wheel ramps. We will be climbing under the car, and you need to have the body of the car completely level, as I said earlier, just to make sure that the fluid level is correct. So with that, you're going to need a jack stands, whatever you got to do to get the thing up and level in the air. You'll also need a fluid pump, something like this. The fill plug is up on the side of the transmission, and you're not going to be able to take your bottle and tilt it into that hole. There's no way that's going to happen. So just go pick up a little fluid pump. They sell them at AutoZone, Pep Boys, Napa, like for $4 or $5, and it makes it pretty much super easy. It's like really the only tool that you can use to get the fluid up there. So the fluid I'm going to be using is Valvoline 7590. The only 7590 that they had at the store that I went to was all limited slip. This is a GL5 fluid, so I'm going to assume that it's okay. I do believe I'm running this in my other car with no issues. So that plug right there is our drain plug, and if you look by the sticker, there is an identical plug to that one. So that is our fill plug. So pretty much all we're going to be doing is draining the transmission fluid using the drain plug and filling it using the fill plug. Now, just like the differentials, you always want to make sure to take out the fill plug first before you drain the transmission. Reason being, if you drain all of the fluid out of the transmission and then realize you can't get your fill plug out, you're pretty much screwed. Make sure that you can get your fill plug out before you drain the transmission. It'll also help the fluid come out a lot nicer and a lot cleaner. So I've got a drain catch here. I'm going to put that pretty much directly underneath the fill and the drain. I'm going to start by taking the fill plug out, and a good way to match the amount of fluid that was in there is remember how much fluid came out initially when you take the fill plug out for the first time. So if you take the fill plug out and you have a nice steady stream, when you fill it up and put the plug back in, you want to have a nice steady stream coming out. If you open the fill plug and then pretty much almost no fluid comes out, then you would wait a little bit longer till that stream really dies out. That's just kind of a good way to match how much fluid was in there. These things don't really consume a lot of fluid, so that's not something like engine oil that you have to really worry about. So yeah, almost no fluid came out of that. So I'm pretty much going to wait until the stream dies out completely when I'm adding fluid. We'll let all that fluid drain. Alright, so it's drained for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and put the drain plug back in. These transmissions do use tapered threads, so just get it really nice and tight. There probably is a torque spec for it, but I get it just about as tight as I can by hand. Alright. So this guy, you just sit here and pump this up and down to get the fluid up in there. So I'm going to drop my pump and we're going to stick this end in the fill hole and start pumping. In the hole. And these transmissions do take, I believe it's 1.6 or 1.8 quarts. So it's going to take this whole bottle and most of the next one. Alright, this bottle is empty. A nice trick you can do to get a little bit more fluid out is to pour the old fluid, or the fluid from the empty container, into the fluid with the new container. Just be sure to leave a little bit of room for the pump and overflow everywhere. Alright. There should be more. Yeah, so that's about good. So I'm going to let this stream die out a little bit before I put the fill cap back on, but that's pretty much it. Alright, so the stream died out, now it's just dripping. So I'm going to go ahead and put the fill cap back in, or the fill plug back in. That nice and tight. Alright, that is it. Our manual transmission fluid is replaced. Thank you guys so much for watching. Keep it fresh, and I will see you guys later.
We are dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust. Search but you stay lost.